Hi there, today we are going to be talking about regulation of urine concentration and volume. Given a solution in a container, such as a pan on a stove, it's possible to change its concentration by adding water to it or by boiling it, thereby removing water. Similarly, the kidneys maintain the concentration of the body fluids by increasing water absorption from the filtrate when the body fluid concentration increases and by reducing water reabsorption from the filtrate when the body fluid concentration decreases. The volume and composition of urine therefore change depending on conditions in the body. If body fluid concentration increases above normal levels, the kidneys produce a small volume of concentrated urine. This eliminates solids and conserves water, both of which help lower the body fluid concentration back to normal. On the other hand, if the body fluid concentration decreases, the kidneys produce a large volume of dilute urine. As a result, water is lost, solids are conserved, and the body fluid concentration increases. Urine production also maintains blood volume and therefore blood pressure. An increase in blood volume can increase blood pressure, and a decrease in blood volume can decrease blood pressure. When blood volume increases above normal, the kidneys produce a large volume of urine. The loss of water in the urine lowers blood volume. Conversely, if blood volume decreases below normal, the kidneys produce a small volume of urine to conserve water and maintain blood volume. Hormonal mechanisms. There are three major hormonal mechanisms that involved in regulating urine concentration and volume. First, the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone mechanism, the antidiuretic hormone mechanism, and the atrial natriuretic hormone mechanism. These three mechanisms very significant. Each mechanism is activated by different stimuli, but they work together to achieve homeostasis. Both the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone mechanism and the NANH mechanism are more sensitive to change in blood pressure, whereas the ADH mechanism is more sensitive to changes in blood concentration. Renin-angiotensin-aldosterone mechanism. Renin, an enzyme, is secreted by cells of the juxtaglomerular apparatuses in the kidneys. Renin acts on angiotensinogen, a plasma protein produced by the liver, and converts it to angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 is rapidly converted to a smaller peptide called angiotensin 2 by angiotensin converting enzyme ACE. Angiotensin 2 acts on the adrenal cortex, causing it to secrete aldosterone. Aldosterone increases the rate of active transport of sodium in the distal convoluted tubules and collecting ducts. In the absence of aldosterone, large amount of sodium remain in the nephron and become part of the urine. A high sodium concentration in the filtrate causes water to remain in the nephron and increases urine volume. Therefore, when the rate of active transport of sodium is slow, urine volume increases and the urine contains a high concentration of sodium. Because chloride is attracted by the positive charge on sodium, chloride is co-transported with sodium. When blood pressure suddenly decreases or when the concentration of sodium in the filtrate becomes too low, the kidney releases renin. The result, an increase in aldosterone, causes an increase in sodium and chloride reabsorption from the nephron. Water follows the sodium and chloride. Thus, the volume of water lost in the form of urine declines. This method of conserving water helps prevent a further decline in blood pressure. Second mechanism, antidiuretic hormone mechanism. ADH secreted by the posterior pituitary gland passes through the circulatory system to the kidneys. ADH regulates the amount of water reabsorbed by the distal convoluted tubulus and collecting ducts. When ADH levels increase, the permeability of the distal convoluted tubulus and collecting ducts to water increases and more water is reabsorbed from the filtrate. Consequently, an increase in ADH results in the production of a small volume of concentrated urine. On the other hand, when ADH levels decrease, the distal convoluted tubulus and collecting ducts become permeable to water. As a result, less water is reabsorbed and a large volume of dilute urine is produced. The release of ADH from the posterior pituitary is regulated by the hypothalamus. Certain cells of the hypothalamus are sensitive to changes in solute concentration. When the solute concentration in the blood increases, action potentials are sent along the axon of the ADH secreting neurons of the hypothalamus to the posterior pituitary, and ADH is released from the ends of the axons. A reduced solute concentration in the blood causes inhibition of ADH release. Atrial natriuretic hormone. Atrial natriuretic hormone, ANH, is secreted from cardiac muscle cells in the right atrium of the heart when blood pressure in the right atrium increases above normal. ANH acts on the kidney to decrease sodium reabsorption. Therefore, sodium and water remain in the nephron to become urine. The increased loss of sodium and water as urine reduces the blood volume and the blood pressure. The Micturition Reflex. The Micturition Reflex is activated by stretch of the urinary bladder wall. As the urinary bladder fills with urine, pressure increases, stimulating stretch receptors in the wall of the urinary bladder. Action potentials are conducted from the urinary bladder to the spinal cord through the pelvic nerves. Integration of the reflex occurs in the spinal cord, and action potentials are conducted along parasympathetic nerve fibers to the urinary bladder. Parasympathetic action potentials cause the urinary bladder to contract. The external urinary sphincter is normally contracted as a result of stimulation from the somatic motor nervous system. Because of the Micturition reflex action potential conducting along somatic motor nerves to the external urinary sphincter decrease, which causes the sphincter to relax. The Micturition reflex is an autonomic reflex, but it can be inhibited or stimulated by higher centers in the brain. The higher brain centers prevent micturition by sending action potentials through the spinal cord to decrease the intensity of the autonomic reflex that stimulates urinary bladder contractions and to stimulate nerve fibers that keep the external urinary sphincter contracted. The ability to voluntarily inhibit micturition develops at the age of 2 to 3 years. When a person feels the urge to urinate, the higher brain centers alter action potential sent to the spinal cord to facilitate the micturition reflex and relax the external urinary sphincter. Awareness of the need to urinate occurs because stretch of the urinary bladder stimulates sensory nerve fibers that increase action potentials carried to the brain by ascending tracts in the spinal cord. Irritation of the urinary bladder of the urethra by a bacterial infection or some other condition can also initiate the urge to urinate, even though the urinary bladder is nearly empty. Alright guys, bye bye, see you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave your comments on the comment section. Put your likes please. Bye bye, see you.